Let's bring Eskin's words to the screens after saying something like this is a dictator or something. Now, according to the latest polls, my vote rate is not 4%, but 57%. Therefore, if someone tries to remove me from power right now, it won't work. The disinformation about the 4% support is coming from Russia. We have evidence that these figures have been discussed between the US and Russia. What are they doing? What kind of intelligence are they providing? Unfortunately, President Trump, as a result of his meetings with Kremlin officials, is living in a bubble of Russian origin disinformation in his field. I would have expected Trump's team to be more honest. He's calling him a fraud, so we understand why Trump is furious. The meetings in Riyadh are not favorable from our perspective. The Russians are happy because they are lifting Putin's isolation. You might think you can solve everything with agreements, but that's impossible, because in Ukraine, no one trusts Putin. We also don't take President Trump's mining deal offered in exchange for US aid seriously. He says he doesn't take Trump seriously because it doesn't contain any security guarantees for Ukraine. I cannot sell my country. Now, no matter how you look at it, I mean, the warning J.D. Vance made, if I speak like this, the answer you receive doesn't go beyond the dictator. Now, let's see how he was a dictator for the second time. Yesterday it was Miami. This part wasn't in our news. Let's especially listen to this section.
America won't pay America.
He had Biden wrapped around his finger, as we say, to describe someone who is easily manipulated. Zelensky is a dictator who doesn't hold elections. He needs to act quickly, otherwise his country will be gone. He must act swiftly.
A war, but one in which the USA is not involved.
It has truly turned the world upside down. Finally, US President Donald Trump is in the spotlight with his extremely harsh criticisms of Zelensky. He called Putin and had a meeting. Then he spoke with Zelensky. It didn't take a week. At the beginning of the week in Riyadh, the capital of Saudi Arabia, US and Russian delegations met for the first time in the 3-year war. Such a meeting was held for 4.5 hours to fulfill a formality, and in the end, an agreement was reached. We didn't just talk about Ukraine. Ultimately, we addressed global issues, because world peace can only be achieved if the US-Russia line moves away from tension. There was such a framework. Zelensky said, "Why wasn't I at that table?" He had already rushed to Ankara. I mean, I was upset. I would have liked Trump to support us. When he said, "I should also be at that table," Trump opened his mouth and closed his eyes. He called him a dictator. After calling him a dictator, another statement came from Zelensky. He offered me such a proposal that to continue his support, I can't sell the country to return $500 billion to America. He said, I can't sell my own country. Donald Trump's nerves were really hit, and things got out of hand. Now let's bring the latest exchange to the screens. He called him a dictator once again. We will bring that to the screens right after.
U.S. President Donald Trump practically took a jab at Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky. In a social media post, Trump, who doesn't hold back his words, called Zelensky an average comedian and an unelected dictator. He said that if he doesn't act quickly, he will lose his country. Trump, who expressed similar sentiments at an event he attended in Miami, criticized Zelensky for not taking his country to elections as his term ended. This time he didn't give a percentage, but he reiterated the claim that support for the Ukrainian leader is very low.
He refuses to hold elections. His approval rating is low. So how can it be high when every city is being destroyed? It's unlikely. Then someone said, no, my approval rating is good. Oh, come on.
Trump once again blamed Ukraine, not Russia, for the war. He even implied that Zelensky deceived the U.S.
I love Ukraine, but Zelensky did a terrible job. His country was shattered and millions of people died unnecessarily. Zelensky convinced the United States to spend $350 billion on a war that cannot be won, which should never have started and would never have started if I were president.
Donald Trump stood by the Russia-U.S. negotiations that Zelensky criticized. He blamed Zelensky for the deadlock.
You cannot end the war if you do not talk to both sides. You need to talk. They haven't spoken for 3 years. Biden never tried. failed to bring peace to Europe, and Zelensky probably hopes to continue obtaining money the easy way.
Targeted by Trump's severe accusations, the Ukrainian leader emphasized solidarity in his address to the nation. He did not mention Trump by name, but said they trust America. Choose peace, not Putin, he said.
I trust in Ukraine's unity, courage, our European solidarity, and America's pragmatism, because America needs success as much as we do. Everyone in the world, including the strongest, must choose between standing with either Putin or peace.
In the press conference held before his address to the nation, Zelensky gave a harsher response to Trump, stating that the U.S. president believed the disinformation spread by Russia. The response came from U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance. Warning the Ukrainian leader not to attack Trump, Vance said Zelensky was being given bad advice. The idea that speaking ill of Trump in the media will change his mind has the opposite effect, he said.